How do you show your work on problems 19 and on? So I just wanted to real briefly, if you don't know, look at problems 1.7 E and 1.7F, example problems. But let's just look at number 19. So the problem is a -3 plus 7. What you need to do is determine on the absolute value of a -3 and absolute value of 7. If you take those absolute values, which is the larger absolute value? Well, 7 is the larger absolute value. And the sign inside here is positive. So you're going to come back over here and you're going to take the larger absolute value of 7 minus, you're going to subtract, because technically they're opposite signs, you're going to subtract the smaller absolute value. And since this was positive, you're going to go ahead and put a positive outside the parentheses. So the absolute value of 7 is 7 minus the absolute value of -3 is a positive 3. And then 7 minus 3 is 4. And you're just bringing down this positive, so your answer is a positive 4. Now technically in your head, and eventually what you're going to do is think in your head, opposite signs, technically I subtract and get 4. Which is the larger of the absolute? This one, it's positive. I get my answer positive. So eventually, on something like this, you'll be able to go from here to here. But for 1.7, they're just wanting you to show your work at this point to practice the rules. So look at number 23. You had 10 plus a -12. Again, you're adding opposite signs. So you're going to determine which is the larger absolute value. The -12 is the larger absolute value. And notice it's a negative sign, right? So you're going to take the larger absolute, -12, and you're going to subtract it from the smaller absolute. And since this was a negative, you're going to put the negative outside the parentheses. So absolute value of 12 is 12. The absolute value of 10 is 10. And 12 minus 10 is 2. And we're bringing this negative sign down. So your answer is a -2. And if you look at number 29, this is an addition. See here, this was addition of opposite signs. This was addition of opposite signs. But here it's 8 minus 5. Yeah, technically you all know that 8 minus 5 is 3. But if you're following the rules, you're going to go ahead and say 8, and you're going to change this to addition. So this is like subtracting a positive 5. So if we change this to addition, then we're going to be adding. The opposite of positive 5 is a -5. So now we have an addition problem, just like we did up here. It's the same thing with the addition rules. So the absolute value of 8, absolute value of -5, which is the larger? This one is the larger, and it's positive. So I'm going to take the larger absolute value and subtract it from the smaller absolute value. And since it's positive, I'm going to carry my positive sign out here. Absolute value of 8 is 8. Absolute value of -5 is 5. 8 minus 5 is 3. And you end up with a positive 3 as your answer. Yeah, technically you all know 8 minus 5 is 3. But it was something simple. You can see what was the process that went on here. So we're wanting you to show your work in this way. So hopefully that helps you a little bit.